What you doing?
Hey, what's up, Bradley? I'm trying to pick out which one of these suggestions to draw tonight. So, you want to help me decide?
Sure.
Sounds so excited. All right, first we have, this is from Ella. She would like to see Tojuro from Demon...
Actually, it's Tanjiro.
Tanjiro?
Yeah.
From Demon Slayer.
Yeah.
I have a no-name request, so we might have to scrap that one till the end. But Rui from Demon Slayer, did I say that right?
Yeah, Rui, yeah.
All right. Abigail has requested Laser Beam playing.
Actually, it's Laser Beam.
That's not how I thought we spelled it. Okay, Laser Beam playing video games. And our last request is Gavin would like to see a water dragon. So, any thoughts on what we should do?
I kind of want to do a water dragon.
All right, then let's get into the creation station and check it out. All right, well, welcome to the creation station. And for the water dragon, he's going to be kind of sitting like this, and we're going to see his hind leg and his front leg and his other front leg. And then we're going to see like a little bit of the hind leg, a big tail kind of running around. So in order to kind of just get us started on where to end with the head, what we're going to do is we're going to create a long tail. It's going to arc like a chicane, and it's going to come around here. So we're just going to kind of do this. All right, and we're just going to get a feel for sort of where the tail is going to go. So that's just a guide that we're drawing here in pencil. And then what we're going to do is we're going to go over everything else in marker, and then we're going to come back and kind of bring this together. So now we're going to switch to a Sharpie, and we're just going to kind of start with a hind leg. And it's going to look sort of like this. It's kind of like a little ankle kind of shape. And so each toe is kind of like a long claw, and then a little bit of space in between, another long claw. And then he has kind of like a forward funky nail. And the same thing on the other side. So it's a pretty simple thing to draw. It kind of looked like an old fall leaf coming out. So then what we're going to do is we're going to get the belly kind of coming up off the ground into a perched up chest, and it's going to go sort of like this, and we're going to have his elbow coming in here. So if we have an elbow, we're going to sort of gather that his shoulder is like that, and it's going to have like a little wrist action. So that's sort of coming in down there, and have a long claw. They all match pretty much. Another long claw, front one, side claws, just like that. Okay, and what we're going to do is we're going to continue this chest going up, and then his throat kind of sticks out a little bit, and it goes up into his mouth, and then comes out into the front of the dragon jaw. His face kind of comes up, and then that's where his eye is. It sort of goes up, and then a little brain bump. And what we're going to do along the back is we're just going to kind of slowly come back down into this tail. All right, so we'll get back to the rest of the other side. So if he has a claw here, there's probably another shoulder right here. And what we're going to do is kind of have the elbow action sort of coming down. A claw, a claw, a claw, a claw, and a claw. All right. So, on the other side, we're going to have a little essence of a leg poking up over there, and maybe one, two of the side claws, and then we won't see the front one anymore. All right, so we're just going to kind of start with the tail shape, and we're going to follow our pencil line as best as we can, taper off all the way to the end like that. And then what we're gonna do is we might move away from our guide just a little bit as we get into that side. And so what you can see is there's like a little pencil here and a little pencil here. You know, you could just ignore it, but now that we have the Sharpie, we can go ahead and erase. And the cool thing about using mixed media with the Sharpie is you don't lose any of that. Some people like to leave the pencil lines because it adds a nice texture to their work. So we're gonna go back into this later, and what we're gonna do is we're gonna add some patterns. Right now we're gonna work on some details, and so we're gonna get the mouth kind of going in here like this. So he's got like a happy little mouth, you know? And so this eye we can't see is on the other side, but we're gonna add a bump right about here. All right, so you have a nice bump line and an eye shape right like that. And we're just gonna kind of make him looking down at something. All right, so usually they have a little marking. I'm assuming this is some sort of sensory marker, so you could say that's like his ear, so to speak. And then we're gonna have a little nostril on this side. Now the water dragon has a lot of kind of texture around its mouth. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go ahead and just below that nose shape, we're gonna draw him kind of like, what looks like he has a 5 o'clock shadow, like he needs to shave or something. And we're gonna start building up just kind of some Zentangle looking blocks to create a sense of texture guided around his mouth, and small little swirls up here that kind of run along the top of that. Okay, so I guess you could say he's got like a goatee. And then kind of a little bib right there. And then what's happening here is a sort of chest plate. All right, and then that's just gonna taper right down into the bottom. Now he has these cool stripes that start to get thicker, and then they start to get detailed. So he's gonna have this sort of evolving pattern going around him. And so what we're gonna do is usually there's one that starts along this arm, and it's just gonna be an open line like that, a little stripe. Then the next one goes down a lot further, okay, and then usually it's followed by a matching one in the midsection, and then one a little bit shorter that goes towards the other leg, so you have little guidelines of where you're putting these, and then about 3 more, so we'll say maybe by the foot, the end of the toe, and one that's just kind of saying bye-bye. All right, after that, they're gonna go all the way around, and they're gonna start to become about 3 large shapes. So if you have like a small skinny shape, now you're having a large stripe. All right, and then they start to create some movement. So they'll start to move a little bit, and we're gonna end up with an angular kind of triangle design in there. So I'm gonna move them in a different direction here, and I'm gonna do another triangle design, and then move them outward again and have that triangle design, and just kind of one more right there at the end. And so we have this kind of evolving pattern that goes all the way around the water dragon, then up until about right here, between where our large pattern starts or our skinny pattern starts and our fat pattern begins, we got these kind of small spikes. And so I'm going to try to make them fairly consistent, but it's okay if they're not. And one of the cool things about working with the Sharpie is, you know, you can kind of move it around to overlap in certain areas where you might have something in the background. So we're just gonna make those triangles fit as best as we can and just kind of stop right there. So those are the main features of the water dragon. I really like the tail composition, so that's something you might want to play with and move around. They like to climb up sticks and do things like that. There's a lot of cool stuff you could do with their claws. But right now, what we're gonna do is we're gonna flip him around and we are going to write his name, Water Dragon. Just kind of have it all come together there and get a signature. And that's about it. So I think that water dragon came out pretty amazing.
Yeah,
what do you think? I really like the composition the most. So the movement was the big thing that got it for me. What was your favorite element of the water dragon?
I kind of like the pattern and kind of like the spikes.
Kind of cute too, huh?
Yeah, he is.
I think I might want to get one.
Maybe.
Anything else?
Oh yeah, aren't you forgetting something?
I got the patterns and the thing and then the belly and what?
You forgot to color it.
You're right, I should probably color it. I got these nice pastels here. Like,
All right, come on, let's just get in the creation station and just do it already. Less talking, more doing.
Check it out.
Check.
Make the video really fast. All right, so we're gonna have some red here. We're gonna kind of put along the edges of the arms and then along kind of like where the green parts of the body hit the yellow parts of the body. And then when we get into the pattern, it's going to start becoming a little bit of a part of the pattern, which is kind of cool as it flips here a little bit, sort of like that, and has some more movement to it. So that's pretty neat. So I'm just gonna kind of start, like with my dark color, I'm just gonna kind of start just sort of putting little bits of it in, all right? And then I'm gonna work myself into like my lighter green, which is gonna be right down in here. And you might notice I'm roughly coloring it. And the reason I'm roughly coloring it is because then I'm gonna go back in
shadow
with some yellow, and then I'm gonna like smooth the yellow into the green so that I end up with a nice yellow green. And the great thing about pastels is if you're not happy with the blending, you just take your finger and just kind of smudge it in. And you know what? You get a little red in there, that's okay. All right, so there's gonna be a lot of light in the stripes, and it's cool if you get a little bit of red into the stripes. I'm gonna get a little yellow in there, just kind of a rough little yellow in there. Move that around. All right, just like so. The thing I want to do at this point is then I'm going to start working kind of my chalkier green into some of the arms. Okay, a little of that in there. Alright, and we're going to get like a little around the face. And I'm just kind of filling in most of it, because I'm gonna go back in with a more subtle color. And so the great thing about that is I'm not done, but when I add that last color, we're gonna get a really nice completed look. I don't like overdoing my layers, so I just kind of have them all in there as if I was gonna come through with a watercolor brush and then just kind of finish it off. And you know what? The cool thing about this green, you can kind of go like that, and I have this really nice umber color. And look at that umber, and I'm just going to kind of fill in certain areas along here. And at this point, this is where I'm going to start kind of blending that tail color. You know, there's not one perfect way that tail has to look. And then I've got some of that color now on my finger palette, which is really cool. I call that like a finger palette when I'm working with pastels. And as I get into the lighter colors and the darker colors, I've got a little bit of color on my finger that I'm kind of using and blending with it. Now, when I get to that finger palette color, I want to make sure that I'm not going over my stripes. So if I get a little bit in the stripes, it's okay. But I do want to try to avoid them, if at all possible. And so, look at that. I'm going to go right over the edge of that light section, and that creates a shadow, which is pretty cool. I'm going to kind of get it right there into the feet. And then if I blend down below, that's creating a little shadow there. Give me the thumbs up of approval. I appreciate that. I kind of move my shadow around. Okay, so one of the wonderful things about having a nice material like I'm using chalk and a little bit of oil pastel is by mixing the two of them. Look here, and around the mouth, I just wanted to create a light section. So all those colors are kind of creating a nice light section in there. And then I'm just going to kind of go back with the red and just kind of tap over these little triangles here. And just a little bit, ooh, I want to use that umber again, just kind of mix that in with the red. All right, so that is it for our water dragon. Just gonna put a little finishing touch there along the back. All right, spread some of this around. Thumbs up, we are done. Thank you, Gavin, for your awesome input on the water dragon. It was a very exciting piece of artwork to draw. Hope you have a wonderful day and dynamic blessings to you all.